The form table's done over 5 games. You know, the form table, recent form, that sort of thing. Click onto the Premier League website, and that's what it will give you. It will give you on the form table your last 5 games, everybody's last 5 games. I only talk about this because there's been a poll. There's been several polls about whether or not we will win the game, whether West Ham will beat Arsenal in the game this evening. And there seems to be an overriding confidence, I wouldn't say unanimous, but enough of a percentage, certainly think that West Ham will win the game against Arsenal. And I think a lot of that is based on, well, obviously some people watch the games, they've seen Arsenal play, they're not impressed. I think the other thing is based on maybe the assumption that we're both in bad form. Both West Ham and Arsenal are in terrible form. That's what's been being said. But I've looked at it, and I mean, they ain't winning the league anytime soon. Let me put it that way. And their form was certainly bad enough for them to warrant getting rid of their manager. But it is worth remembering it was the European fixture that eventually got him the sack. Yes, it was the last straw that broke the camel's back. There was an accumulative effect which made Arsenal want to sack Emery. But I'm looking at the league now, and they are 11th. Arsenal don't ever win in their last 5, but they have only lost 2. And I only bring that up just to give a bit of a dose of realism, because I do think that a lot of people believe that we're just going to turn up and we're going to beat them. Now, before I go any further, I think we're going to win. I'm one of those people, and I'm checking myself on this more than anything else. I also think it's a good thing to go into that stadium with a mindset, both from the players and the fans, that we can beat them, because confidence has been in short supply. We need confidence. Wherever we can get it from, we need it. But if you look at the form table, and I'm looking at the form table now, as you can probably tell, the only club in the whole of the Premier League that have a worse form, recent form, last 5 games, than us are Bournemouth. Bournemouth have lost all their last 5 games. We've lost 4 and won 1. You know that. You West Ham fans. Burnley aren't great, but they've won 2. Lost 3. Brighton are better. They've won and drawn their last 2 games. You get what I mean? But let's go to the bottom 3 here. Southampton have won 2 and drawn 1 of their last 5 games. We've got these guys coming up. Norwich have won 1 and drawn 1. Exactly the same for Watford. All the teams below us, including Aston Villa as well, have better recent form than us. I guess that's no surprise. But Arsenal's is better. They've only lost 2 in 5. Now, I do think there are some things that go for us. And I think one of them is the appointment of Freddie Ljungberg. And I do think it's a strange appointment. I know it's fashionable to promote from within your club, but I don't think it's the same thing to lead the under-23s as it is to lead a bunch of grown men who are millionaires, which is precisely what you're doing when you take charge of a senior team. I think a lot of people in the under-23s, probably for their age, are wealthy. There's going to be some wealthy 16-year-olds, some wealthy 17-year-olds. Absolutely there are. There's going to be people there on a few grand a week. There's no doubt about it. But you're still dealing with dreams, and you're still dealing with hope. And you like to think that anybody has got the motivation to get to become a 16, 17, 18-year-old footballer has certainly had some drive along the way, some drive that got them from being a promising 8-year-old or a 9-year-old that's kept them going. I think what you need to do in terms of motivation is probably not as great as you need to in senior football. You're dealing with coaching, you're dealing with tactics, you're doing that sort of thing. And Freddie Ljungberg has never struck me as somebody that carries himself in a dominant manner. I wouldn't say he's authoritative. I think he's softly spoken. I think he's quiet. In many respects, maybe his personality is not dissimilar to Unai Emery's. That's not really what they needed. Now, there's actually been a more recent example than that, because, as you know, Everton got rid of Silva. And the guy that they appointed into the caretaker role is Duncan Ferguson. Was he working with a youth team? Was he working with the reserves, that sort of thing? Was he a member of the coaching setup in Everton? Yes, he was. So from that point of view, the similarities are the same. But it stops there. Because there is a man that commands respect. There is a man that has presence. There is a man that can command the attention of a room. Never mind it. Did you see the Everton game? They beat Chelsea 3-1, I think. I think it was 3-1. Never mind command the attention of a room. He could command the attention of the whole stadium. That is a forceful personality. That is a big personality. I'm always cautious when I look at caretaker managers coming in, because I do think you do generally get an uplift. More often than not, you get an uplift. Some you don't. But I always think that when you do, I think you've got to be cautious with it, because sometimes players are so annoyed with the previous manager. It's just a new guy coming in. It's almost a sense of relief. And particularly you get players that weren't in the team feel that they have a chance to play for their position. So I don't think it's a good enough reason to give somebody the job permanently because they come in as a caretaker manager and get 2 or 3 results. I don't think that. But I did look at Duncan Ferguson. I looked at his interview before the game. I looked at how he got Everton playing, which was certainly with identity and was with passion. I looked at how he conducted himself on the touchline, and then I looked at how he conducted himself in the post-match press conference. And he is every inch a leader. He really is a commanding man. And I just don't get that with Freddie Ljungberg. Any of that. I don't think he does instill any of those things into, well, not just Arsenal, those around him. He's not that type of guy. I remember watching a documentary with Freddie Ljungberg, and he was a very, very quiet, unassuming man. People talk about Chris Wilder. They've won today, haven't they, Sheffield United? And about him going into Arsenal. I've said this on a video already, but I say it just to make the point. They talk about Chris Wilder going in to Arsenal. He won't, but it was mentioned. That Arsenal don't have those players. So I'm not saying Duncan Ferguson could go in and do a similar thing at Arsenal, because whilst I don't think he could, I do think Everton obviously do have some British players in there. He can extract a level of performance from them. And I think what goes against them today, I'm filming this the night before. I think just what goes against them is I think they've had their uplift. I just don't think it was very big. I don't think he could get any more out of them. I don't think their defenders are very good, which does give us a chance. It really does. But don't get too confident about it, is what I'm saying. This is a crucial game. For Pellegrini only, it's not a crucial game for Ljungberg. No one expects him to get the job. And I'm surprised he still got the job. They've dithered too much. Maybe it's because the owner is not in the country. He's not got his finger on the pulse. Maybe he's waiting for people that work for him to make the decision and to bring the new person in, the new manager. But they've dithered and delayed in a way that Tottenham, for example, just haven't. I thought they'd have someone in place before we played them. It's not happened. But they can't defend. And it's not crunch for Ljungberg because no one expects him to do it. It is crunch for Pellegrini. Pellegrini has to win this one. He really does. The shot in the arm, the adrenaline rush, if you like, from beating Chelsea will have gone by then. We now look at the Chelsea result. Chelsea result felt good. It was really good to go. We'd not won there for a long, long time. But then you look at Everton beating Chelsea, and actually, if you look at Chelsea's recent form, going back to it, Chelsea have actually only won 2 of their last 5. They've lost 3 games in their last 5. And maybe Chelsea are not quite as good as we thought they were. You look at it now, with Manchester United hot on their heels. I think they'll do much. I think they'll dip. But with Tottenham, a resurgent Tottenham, with Wolves looking every inch a top flight and a European quality team, there's nothing to say Chelsea are going to finish in that top 4. The transfer embargo has been lifted, of course, but they might not finish in there. So whilst it was a good result for West Ham, did we really go and beat and dominate a top 4 team, a Champions League team? I'm not sure. I think it tells a little lie. And I just would be mindful before expecting us to go and turn Arsenal over. I'd just suggest, yes, they do have a very shaky defence. They don't look like they've got anyone that they can bring into that defence that would make it less shaky. They don't look like they've got a manager who can cajole them and organise them in a way that Duncan Ferguson did with Everton. But that being said, we do have a shaky defence. And Arsenal certainly do have the players who can cause us massive problems. The league doesn't lie, but people will be tricksy with it. I've said this before. When people say, well, you know, you're as close to the top 5 as you are to the bottom, and all that stuff that people were saying a couple of weeks ago. Arsenal are in 11th. Yes. They've only lost 2 in their last 5. That's true. But they also haven't won any. So it depends which way you want to read the stats. They're only 3 points above us. That is true as well. But sometimes you just got to strip it down to the bare basics, which are they're 11th and we're not. They do have some good players. We do. Many of them are not in form. A lot of it seems reliant on Antonio. And my inkling and my feeling is that particularly with Antonio in the team, we can still go there and he can upset them. I mean, I think he can really, really upset that defence. If I was given a choice between Antonio and Sebastian Haller up there, I think Antonio. I'd choose Antonio to rough them up because I don't think they like it. They don't like that. However, there are some things that our defenders don't like. And shooting accurately, passes in behind, balls from wide, all of that sort of thing, they're going to be able to provide. I think Aubameyang is going to be a complete pain in the bum. I don't win any scouting awards for saying that. Having said that, I've just listened to Manuel Pellegrini's interview, his pre-match press conference. This video was going to be based on that. He said nothing. He said, no, well, I don't mean he didn't sit there silently, clearly. Oh, but it's a tedious affair. They give away so little. I don't just mean Pellegrini. I mean all these managers who are, as I say, who are media trained within an inch of their lives. But he does let a couple of snippets go. He said all the right things and all the nice things about Freddie Ljungberg. You'd expect him to. But what he also said, and this was quite key, was that we had to be mindful from set pieces. He said the normal stuff about never being. He's not under any more pressure now than he puts himself under, and he's under no more pressure now than he was after the first game. Of course, not true. None of it is true. But he's trotting out some cliches for us. As I say, he's very, very, very well media trained, and you wouldn't expect to say anything less. But you're looking for snippets. There's not a lot. As I say, it's a boring press conference, really. But he said about the set pieces, and I thought, I'm not sure they're going to be bombarding us with a ton of them. I think they'll be looking very different. But he also did repeat the mantra about the home games, if you remember. He said away games. I don't want to misquote him, but he said the home games were important. More important than the away games. And I just wonder, with that in mind, if we're going to see almost a very, very defensive performance at home. Because you need to stop those balls coming in from the channels. Those slide rule passes. You don't know what Mesut Ozil's going to turn up. Well, probably the one that normally turns up. He turns up and he doesn't run around much, but he's got the ability to play a passing. And when you've got runners like Lacazette and you've got people like Aubameyang who are going to run in behind the defenders, actually it only takes 1 or 2 of those passes to come off. We have shown the ability with Newcastle, we've shown the ability with Tottenham, that once we go behind, we can get some goals. Once the other team switches on, I think we can get Arsenal. I think we can get goals against them. I think, as I said, I think Antonio's a key player. Anyone that can attack is a key player. Anderson being a massive key player for us in this one. He's not scored a goal in a long time. Needs to go and get a goal. But I'm not sure we're going to afford to give Aubameyang and Lacazette the time and space that we did to Newcastle. Because as well as Alan Saint-Maximin, whatever his name is, played, and I do think he's a talented player, and I would have liked us to have signed him. I don't think he's going to pose anywhere near as tough as a threat as Lacazette and Aubameyang will. So if you go in, enjoy. I hope, look, me and Joe are going to be jumping on a review straight away afterwards, and hopefully we can. It's make or break. Hopefully we're up the league. Hopefully we're up the league, and then we're heading towards the Southampton game with a spring in our step. If we don't, and if we lose this one, it's gonna be a massive inquest.